In this tutorial, we are going to be creating a very simple invoice layout in FileMaker. You're going to be learning a few things. First, you're going to learn how to use calculation to automatically calculate and summarize number data in a layout. And second, you'll be learning some FileMaker features that you can use to make your report looks more professional and nice looking. And lastly, you'll be learning a very simple script that can help you automatically fill in product data in an invoice. Coming up. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another FileMaker beginner tutorial. This channel is all about creating FileMaker beginner friendly tutorials so that you can start automating your workflow with this powerful software. And in today's tutorial, we are going to be looking at making a very simple invoice layout. And this layout it's really simple. You enter the data, the item you want, you enter the unit cost, the quantity, and maybe a discount as well. Then it automatically multiplies and gives you a subtotal. And on the bottom here, it gives you a full total based on all the subtotals. So it's pretty simple. And when you go to preview mode and print, it will print out a very nice looking and professional kind of invoice that you can use in your business. So without further ado, let's get to the exercise file. Okay, and we are back to the original tutorial. The original tutorial exercise file. Now in here we have everything being set up already because I want to focus on the portal as much as possible. We have the logo, the basic company information. We have the invoice basic information like the invoice ID, who is it billing to, and also the issue date of the invoice. On the bottom, we also have a place, to type in a remark or something. So I want to start by, let's create a new record. So when I create a new record, I can start typing in stuff like who am I billing this to and what are the dates. So I want to just make some very quick changes that you need to learn before. So I want to make it so that when I create a new record, it automatically gives me an unique ID, and also the issue date I want it to automatically gives me the today's date as the default issue date, so that I could save some time in doing the data entry. So I will go to File, Manage, and Database. That's where I control some of the fields option. And then you will notice that we have a few database here being set up. Invoice, invoice line, and product. You don't have to really care about the other two. So we are just going to choose invoice. And then we are going to change the invoice ID. Double click onto this. And then we are going to go to the auto enter tab. And there's this option here, serial number. So I click onto this, and this will allows me to automatically create a unique number for my invoice. This will allow me to create a unique number for my invoice ID when I create a new record. So I want to add a little bit different things to this. So not just a number. So maybe I can do IN, stands for invoice 00001, and then click OK. So let's go to the browse mode and see what's happened. So I'm back to this mode, and I have two records here, as you can see. And I want to just quickly create a new record. When I click onto it, it's automatically IN0001. And I click it again, it's 0002. So this is very important. And then that's the first step. And the next thing I want to do is to change the issue dates to today's date. So like we did just now, go to File, Manage, Database, and we are going to go to issue date. And in here, again, we have the auto enter option. We want to go to creation and then choose creation date and click OK, and click OK again. So what happens is that when I click a new record now, it will show me today's date as the current, the issue date for this particular invoice. So that's pretty cool. So I'll type in my name, then I have a very nice invoice to start with. So now that we have the basic being set up, The next step we want to do is to create a portal in here to hold each line of the records inside the invoice. So every item inside the invoice will be within the portal. So how do we do that? Before we do that, first let's go to the File, Manage Database, and you will notice that I have already set up the relationship for you. Oh, in case you missed it, it's the third tab. So we have the invoice as the parent table and the invoice line as the child table. So that means one invoice can have multiple lines of item. And the next step is that we want to drag out a portal from the layout, from the top here into the layout. So click onto this portal icon here and drag open. We are going to select the portal setup as using the invoice line as the table. And then for now, we are just going to create, I think 7 rows of records should be enough. And then in here, we have a few fields that we can choose from. So let's do item here first, unit cost, quantity, discount, subtotal. So basically everything except the invoice ID. So I click OK. And now I have a portal that, let's give it a little bit more space. So I have a portal that shows some of the basics item. And you will notice that the bottommost, there will always be one empty row in the portal here. So I can type in something. So let's say Apple. And oh, actually, let's add the header in here first. So let's go to here, drag down the item, and then we have a unit cost. So that means a cost per unit, how much is each of them sold, the quantity here, also the discount, and the subtotal. Okay, so I go back to browse mode, and then maybe change it up a little bit more. You go back to layout mode first, sorry, and we're gonna press on these, and then we're trying to make it a little bit clear. Go to Inspector, View, Inspector, open the third tab here, and then click onto this button. So this will give this a border outline, so it's easier to view in the layout mode. So if we look in here, we can now enter the unit cost, the quantity, the amount of discount, so let's say it's 20%, and the subtotal. So what we want to do next is to make it easier for us to use. So obviously we don't want the subtotal needs to be manually entered. So optimally it should be like unit times quantity times the discount equals to the subtotal. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we are going to go to File, Manage Database, and then we are going to go to the Table tab. Choose invoice line because that's where this table is, and then we are going to choose the subtotal. Right now it's set to number, but we want to change it to calculation instead, and press change. Just click OK, and you will notice the calculation menu is a pop-up, so we have to now set the formula. The formula is pretty straightforward. So how much it's sold per unit times how many units they're buying, the quantity, and then times I think 1 minus discount. So that should be the total amount for the subtotal. So I click onto that, and now I have a formula here, you will notice, and I click OK. And when I now go and change this quantity like this, the subtotal will be working automatically. So that's a great start. And the next thing we want to do is that right now I don't think these number looks particularly too good, and I want to change it so that maybe for the unit cost and the subtotal there will be a $sign so that we know it's about money. And for the discount, instead of showing 0.2, I wanted to show 20 with a percentage sign. So what are we going to do next? So we are going to go to View, Layout Mode. Let's start with the $sign thing. So we're going to click onto this, and then also click onto this, these the unit cost and the subtotal. And we want to go to the inspector again. So view, inspector here. And then we're going to go to the fourth tab, drag it all the way to the bottom. You will see a place called data formatting. So in here, we can choose that instead of this field being a general field, we want this to be something of a currency. And more option pops up, so we drag down a little bit more. And in here, I want the $sign to not show HK because that's my default $sign symbol. And so I want to leave it as is, just a $sign. And then maybe if you're living in England, then you might be using pound, so you have to change this based on what you need. And then I also want to add 1,000 separator here, so it's a comma. So 1,000 separator is the comma that's between every 3 zeros. So I will show you a bit in a while. And now that I have these two set up, and maybe I'll just make some quick change here. So I want to, and generally if it's a number, you want it to be aligning to the right side so that people can easily distinguish between if the item is how many units is it on. So is it like a 1-digit unit or 2-digit unit? So you see what I mean. Okay, so I add in a little bit more items here. So type here, let's do 150 and no discount. So if we align it to the right side, you will notice that it's much easier for us to realize that this is a smaller number, 160, because the decimal, not the decimal place, but the units are matching perfectly. So the $100 value, it's matching the $100 value here. And if we switch it back to the left side, what happened is the $100 value is matching the $1,000 value. So it kind of distorts your way to compare the price when you have more data in hand. So let's quickly change it back to a good one. So change this, press here, and then maybe just give these a bold color. Okay, great. In case you don't know how to get this menu out, just press view and then formatting bar. That's the menu that shows these up. So I am going to go back to browse mode. Now I have something really cool here. So what I want to do next is to have a summary total that takes these data and then maybe place it in here of the total amount. What we want to do now is to go to File, Manage, and Database. I want to create something called a summary field. So basically what that means is this. So I'm going to create this field called total, and then I'm going to choose summary here. So in case you can't see it, maybe I move this up a little bit. See, so summary, choose the summary type, press create, and I want this to be a total of the subtotal. Click OK, click OK. And then the next step is that we want to put this this summary field into the layout. So I go to View, Layout Mode, and I want to just duplicate this field because we already got the currency settings on it, and I don't want to do it again. So I'm just going to press Command C and Command V to place these here. So maybe I just make this a 6 line instead of 7. Like this, give this a bolt, and then I'm going to add something called total in here. Align to the right side like this, and instead of subtotal, I want this to be the total that we just created. Click OK, and then let's go to browse mode. And you will see that if I change something, so let's say I change this to $15, it changed this, and then these two adds together into this. So now we have the total amount being able to show. So the next step, I want it to be so currently I have set up the database so that the lowest line inside the portal will always be an empty, so you can enter new data into it. But I haven't got an option to really delete something. So let's say I don't want this banana line and I want to delete it. There's no option yet. So we're going to create a button for us to do that. So let's go to layout mode again. And then maybe we just move these a little bit and give the item name a little bit more space. So we have more space to work with. And let's shrink the discount as well. So what I want to do is to create a button here. And then make sure that this button is inside the portal row. So this area, the white area inside this portal area. So this button is placing really well into this area. And we maybe just pick an icon and pick an X here. And then maybe make the X a little bit smaller like this, make the button a little bit bigger. So we now get an X icon here that's that led us to delete it. So I'm going to set the script up. So we're going to click on right click on this button and do button setup. And on the button setup here, choose single step. So deleting a portal row is actually a very simple step. Just type delete portal row. That's it. And we are going to click OK. And let's see what happens when I click onto this button. So let's go to View, Browse Mode, and when I click onto this button, it will ask me if I want to delete this record row, and when I confirm, it will delete it. And also you might want to know. So if I go to this part here, and to delete portal row, if I turn this to off, it will not even ask me if I want to delete it. It will just delete it straight away. But usually I think it's better to keep it on so you don't accidentally misclick something and delete it. And okay, so I think we are almost set. So maybe I will just type in some data in the remark first. So some random data remark. And what we want to do next is to when you create an invoice, you probably want to print it or save it as PDF. And to see how it looks before we print or save as PDF, go to View, Preview Mode. So a little bit about this mode is that this is the mode where you will be, where it will show how it looks like when it prints. So it's like the very good way for you to see before you actually do the printing. And we look at this, it's looking okay, but there's one problem. The delete portal record button is here. It's not interactive in this mode, but it looks pretty bad. So I'm going to show you a few printing options so that you can make your report look a little bit more nicer. So let's exit preview mode and back to browse mode. We are going to go to layout mode now, View, Layout Mode, and click onto this button and go to the first tab of the inspector. So inspector, and then we want to drag to the bottom where you will see something called sliding and visibility. And we want this to be, there's a field called object visibility, and you can tick hide it when printing. So when I tick this button will not be shown when it's on preview mode or when it's printing. So let me just quickly test that. Go to View, Preview Mode, and then you will realize it's gone. But when we go to browse mode, it will be, hold on, when we go to browse mode, it will be showing up again, and it should be working as well. So that's a very good way to place button inside your report without having the button to be print out with the report as well. So that's something you might want to know. On to the next part, I have added a few more lines in the portal, and you will realize that I might not have enough space to add any more portal row. So what can I do about it? Well, the easiest option is to go to View, Layout Mode, click onto the portal, double click, and then click on Allow Vertical Scrolling and choose When Scrolling. So what this does is that you will be able to do a scroll to the bottom line to keep adding item, and when you have more item, you allow it to scroll. But the issue with FileMaker is that when you are printing the item, it will not show the thing that needs to be scrolled. So it will only show the first 6 items in this particular portal. And so what we want to do instead is something like this. So let's remove the scroll for now. Go back to layout mode, click onto this, uncheck the vertical scrolling, and go back to browse mode. And what we want to do, and it's also one of the biggest limitation of FileMaker, is that the portal row, the maximum row, cannot automatically extend itself based on what you're inputting. So what we want to do is to go to layout mode and maybe give it a little bit more space. The usual way we deal with this problem is to add in as much row as possible. So for example, if you know that it's highly unlikely that your customer will not be placing 11 or more items in a particular order or for the invoice like this. So let's say 11 is the maximum. You create 11 row here, so you will always have enough space to handle most of the items within it. And the issue is, for example, this is one way to do it. Let me just quickly delete this record. And the biggest issue with this is that when you click on preview, you will always have some empty row in here, which might not look too nice. And especially, let's say if you only have one record here and there are all these empty rows, it might not look super amazing. So there's actually another printing techniques that we can do to help with this situation. So we are going to go to view, layout mode, and then we're going to click onto the portal here. We are going to go back to the first tab of inspector all the way to the bottom into the sliding and visibility again. So just now we have mentioned about hide when printing. So this time we are going to show you the slide up based on function. So when you check this, and basically what happens is that it will automatically shrink your portal row if you're not using it, but only in printing mode, so not in browse mode, only in preview mode or when you are exporting or printing. And you also have to make sure you click on slide up and also auto resize and closing part. So if you click these two, then what will happen is something like this. So go to browse mode, and then we're going to go to preview mode now. You will notice since we only enter 3 rows, these portal row automatically shrink up to here. And then here comes the next question. So if you look into this part here, you notice a very giant gap space in between the portal and also the total. That's because the portal shrinked it, but the total does not move up. So how do we make the total move up along with the portal? There is also a way we can do that in the printing setting just now. So let's go straight into view, layout mode, and then we are going to highlight the bottom part of this tutorial, layout, and then we are going to go to inspector, the first tab, and go to sliding and visibility options again. And this time we're going to click on slide up based on again, but we don't need to click on the resize like we did just now. So by clicking onto that, when this portal row shrink, these things will also move up along with them. So let's go to browse mode, have a look before we print. So this is what it looks like now. And then let's go to preview mode, and you will notice the total is pushed up perfectly to the top here. And now we have a very nice, very clean and professional invoice that you can print to your customer with a save as PDF, or just press print and send to your client. So it's a very nice way to structure an invoice, and it's also well, it looks pretty decent. So I think to try to conclude this tutorial, I want to end it with one last feature to add into this thing. So if I go back to browse mode now, and I need to type in a lot of stuff to before I can get this to work. And let's say I need to type in, let's say one of the product might be a banana. I need to type in banana, type in the price, type in the quantity, the discount, and then get the subtotal. But what we can do is that we can make it so that instead of having to type everything ourselves, we can make this a selector, select product with a drop-down list, and then automatically apply the unit cost that we previously set up. So I have already set up this as well for you on the back end. So if we just click onto layout here, go to product, you will notice a very raw zero feature table here. So I basically set up some very basic product that we will have, the apple, orange, banana, and their price. It's like a product catalog, but a super primitive one that doesn't look very nice. So to do the function that we set out to achieve, we have to first set up the relationships. So go to File, Manage, Database, and we want it so that when the portal line, this table here, has the item name that matches the product in the product catalog, then I will be able to get the unit price. And to do that, I will connect the item line to the product name, and then click OK. And then the next thing we want to do is to create a drop-down menu here so that we can select the item. So go to View, Layout Mode, click onto this view, and on the Inspector, go to the 4th tab of Inspector, and then we are going to choose in the Control Style, choose a drop-down list, and we're going to set up a dynamic drop-down list that's based on the product catalog. And let's click onto this and press New, and we create a new list. So let's say product catalog, and we are going to use the view value from, and then the first one. So on the last panel, click on the first one, and then we are going to go to product and product name. Just click OK, OK, and OK. So what I just did is that whenever we add a new product inside the product table here, it will automatically be added to this particular value list. So if I click onto this item here, I can choose freely what I want to use. But you notice the unit cost doesn't change with the item I choose. So this is what we have to set up next. Because we already set up the relationship, the script step is relatively simple. It's only a one-step script. So I go to Script Workspace, and I'm going to create a new script. So let's call this a look up the price. So we only need one script step to do it, but it's good to learn this script step. It's called the set view. So basically, set view is like going into a view and then changing the value, just like that. Very straightforward. And so what we want to do is to go back to the script workspace, click onto this, and we want to change the unit cost in the invoice line table here. So the first, you have to enter two things in this script step. The first one is the field that you want to target, and the second one is the value that you want this to change to. So let me just quickly click on calculate result and type let's say 123. It's not exactly looking up the value, but it's at least you know how this script step works. So click on the file, click on the script, and then save the script. And then we are going to apply this script and trigger the script when we change the name of the item. So to do that, we are going to go to layout mode, right click onto this and do set script trigger. And we're going to choose in here on object save. So that means when we change the field data in the item, it will run the script. So let's do this. Click OK and go to view, browse mode again, and let's change it to Apple. And you will notice when I change this to Apple, right away it changes to 123, which is not exactly the price that we set. This is the price that we set in the script. It's not the same in the product catalog. And that's because we have set this to change to a static value of 123 in the calculation within the script step. So instead, this time I want to change it to product and then change to unit price. And then click OK, and then script, save script, and go like this. So let's try that again. Banana is $12, that's what I set up. Apple, $3. Orange, $7. Watermelon, $20. So you can see we can save a lot of time by doing this. And this is not only limited to the item name or item the cost. You can also add other like special remark for this particular product that you're selling. So it's a really decent technique to learn to like really speed up your invoice workflow. And that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you got some questions about the flow of this tutorial, because some part I've gone a little bit faster because I've gone through those features in a previous tutorial before. So if you feel like it's too fast, then let me know in the comments, and if you got other questions as well, just let me know down below. And if you're new to here, this channel is all about creating beginner-friendly FileMaker tutorials so that you can use this powerful software to automate your work. And we post regularly each Friday, so feel free to go to the subscribe button, click onto it, and then you will see a notification when we post a new update. And that is it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.